Sanskaram University, where cutting-edge technology meets the promise of world-class education. Sanskaram University, education with values.
Amid India-Pakistan tensions, a billion-dollar question takes center stage. Why is the United States under Donald Trump's watch enabling what India calls a terror-sponsoring scheme of Pakistan? As the International Monetary Fund approved yet another bailout to Pakistan, this time a whopping $1 billion to Pakistan, serious questions emerge. Not just about global economics, but about global security, diplomacy, and most importantly, duplicity. And it is not just India that's furious. Even former Pentagon official in Washington is speaking out. Michael Rubin, a senior fellow at American Enterprise Institute and a former Pentagon advisor, is now accusing Donald Trump's administration of playing a dangerous double game. Rubin, in his latest op-ed in the Washington Examiner, calls the IMF bailout an act of aiding a terror-backed pro-China regime. Let that sink in. Rubin is not just slamming Pakistan. He is indirectly attacking or directly attacking the Trump administration's hypocrisy, questioning how President Donald Trump can allow global institutions influenced by the United States to fund a state that openly harbors terrorists and stands economically tethered to Beijing. And here's the irony: Donald Trump, the self-proclaimed anti-China, may have just helped bail out China. I will tell you how. Pakistan's economic condition is disastrous. Inflation is soaring. Its foreign exchange reserves are running dry, and its debts to China, especially under China-Pakistan economic corridor, have crossed staggering $40 billion. So when the IMF releases $1 billion to Islamabad, Rubin says that it is not just Pakistan being bailed out, it is China that is also benefiting. And it is all happening at a time when Pakistan-based terrorists infiltrated Indian territory and executed civilians. And yet, no global action. Instead, Pakistan gets rewarded. This funding is essential to stabilizing Pakistan's economy. But at what cost? Is this stabilization or subsidizing terror? India's response has been sharp. At the IMF board meeting, Indian officials did not just abstain from voting, they called for a broader review. Every single dollar being funneled into Pakistan could be misused to fund state-sponsored cross-border terrorism. India pointed out that Pakistan is a prolonged borrower, a habitual defaulter surviving on global pity and institutional aid. And time and again, Pakistan has shown that instead of economic reform, it is more interested in harboring jihadists, cozying up to China, and exporting terrorism to its neighbors. Now, let's talk about Donald Trump. Here's a man who built his re-election pitch, the whole campaign, on toughness against China, anti-terror commitments, and prioritizing American interests. So why isn't he stopping the IMF from giving Pakistan what amounts to blood money? Either Donald Trump is unable to stop this bailout, or he just doesn't want to. Let's not forget, this is happening while the US claims to be de-escalating tensions between two nuclear-armed countries, India and Pakistan. But how do you de-escalate when you are funding the very country that escalates every single time again and again? From 26/11 to Pulwama and now to the recent civilian killings in Pahalgam, India has lived through the consequences of Pakistan's sponsored terror. Michael Rubin has put this in amazing words. He said, when an alcoholic uses donations to buy hard liquor, the answer is not to up his allowance, it is to cut him off. Rubin's metaphor could not be more accurate. Pakistan has shown time and again that it is incapable of trust and values and global discipline. Now let's also talk about the IMF itself. The International Monetary Fund was designed to offer assistance, yes, but also ensure accountability. But if the IMF cannot stop a nation from using aid to perpetuate violence, terrorism, it's not just losing credibility, it is becoming complicit. Isn't it time to ask, where is this money really going? To stabilize an economy or to destabilize an entire region? India must continue to push for greater scrutiny over every financial aid package Pakistan receives. Because if a nation that shelters UN designated terrorists and celebrates suicide bombers in uniform gets rewarded, then what message are we sending to the victims? That their lives are worth less than $1 billion? In the end, it is not just about economics. It is about ethics. If Donald Trump wants to be taken seriously as a global leader, he must stop playing this double game. Because you cannot claim to fight terror while funding its headquarters.